right, y'all. Welcome back again to another Girlfriends Chit Chat show tonight. Y'all, I'm excited about our guest tonight. Y'all know how we do, how girlfriends always do. We bring mostly women to the show, but tonight is a little different. We got a gentleman to bring to the stage tonight, Mr. Johnny Wilbur. We are so excited to have him here this evening with us. As always, to all who do not know Girlfriends Chit Chat, we talk about everything life and business here on this platform. But no further ado, let me introduce myself to you. My name is Amira Bay. I am the host of Girlfriends Chit Chat show with my co-host, Miss Shauna Price, the Connection Guru, as well as Miss Leslie Thomas of She Promotes Network. And with no further ado, y'all, we got the man of the hour that is with us this evening. So you all who do not know who Johnny is, I'm going to tell you a little bit about who Johnny is. Johnny Wilbur is a famous his famous mantra is "Say increase," can be heard almost every continent around the world. When Johnny rolls up his sleeves and delivers straight talk to audiences from Africa to Australia, India to Italy, Sweden to Spain, they respond with energetic enthusiasm. His blunt honesty promotes people to stop thinking and start doing. Johnny's incredible rags to riches story touches a chord in audiences from cultures from all around the globe. He transformed his life from poverty and abandonment into wealth and opportunity. When he had nothing but dreams, he created a unique, high energy style that is sought after as an international currency. From teenager felony to multimillionaire in just a few short years after implementing his millionaire mindset principles. The matriarch rise of Johnny is one of the great rags to riches, tragedy to triumph tales of our time. By seizing control of his life and developing a brand new mindset, Johnny gave up the hardcore streets and the world of drugs and created a business that now is worth over 9 figures. And is presently living the life of a multimillionaire with his family. So with no further ado, let's bring to the stage Mr. Johnny.
Thank you. I'm incredibly honored and blessed to be in your presence. I want to get this right off the top. Am I literally the first male to make it on the show? Come on.
You are the first one. We've had tons of women, but we were like, it's time for a man to come to the stage. So
I got to be careful because I love making history. I love breaking records. So anytime I can be a part of history, let's go. I'm honored to be in your presence.
My God, we always tend to talk business. We always tend to, we can say we can Google Johnny everywhere, all over social media and find so much information about you. But who is Johnny? Tell us who Johnny is.
Sounds like a song.
Yeah.
Who is
Johnny? Backup singers.
Yeah, come on, Elder Barge. Here we go. Listen, I bring you greetings from the Dallas-Fort Worth area here in Texas. My earliest memory in life was living in a battered women's shelter. Was surrounded around gangs and violence and drugs my entire youth. Made a lot of bad decisions in life. As a matter of fact, my very first book is called From the Hood to Doing Good. And the subtitle of this book is really what the book is about. It's, from adversity to prosperity through the choices you make. I am literally, the manifestation of choices, whether it be the good, the bad, and the ugly. What I teach people around the world is, my past doesn't have to determine my future, and where I come from doesn't have to dictate where I'm going. And that's kind of the foundation of my message. If you want to, kind of get a glimpse of who I am, starting school, living in a battered women's shelter in San Jose, California, where the government shipped us off to protect us, to ultimately coming back to Texas, and my father ended up raising me. So to all the ladies out there, bad husband doesn't mean bad father. And, my father was a good man, a horrible husband, but a good man. And if you really want to get if you want to give you just a quick glimpse so you'll understand, you guys know the character Samuel L. Jackson in the movie Pulp Fiction?
Yeah.
Like that character, like that was my dad. Like that character, literally, like he's very, very intimidating man. It was nothing out of the ordinary to see my father have a regular conversation with a gun in his hand. And that's just kind of how I was raised. So it was normal for me. But I've never had a moment in my life where I felt afraid of anybody when my father was around. So my father taught me what it was like, to be a man as much as he could. And, I was that kid at school, like the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, this class clown type kid that can make everybody laugh. And, and my mouth got me in a lot of trouble, and not knowing that it would ultimately make me millions.
Wow. Now that's
A lot of
amazing.
trouble.
I like
Now
that.
that's amazing.
I like that.
Thank
Now,
you.
how did you become
Well, I think
now?
people
Now,
can
how did
relate,
you go from
right?
now? How did you go from that to being a life coach,
Mhm.
and then streaming off of now becoming an international speaker? How did that
You know,
process start to unravel?
If I think about the time where I really started to, make this move into building Johnny, when I was a junior in high school, I was 18 years old. I was a year behind in school. A friend of mine was murdered, and sadly, wasn't my first friend murdered, but I knew the guy who killed him. And long story short, the night of the wake, the family invited us out, and now looking back at it, it was a setup. They made sure the counselors were there. So we're invited the night before the funeral, and my homeboy's mother, she got before the casket, and she stood before her own son's casket, and she said, "I forgive the young man who killed my son." And I had the most mature moment of my life. I'm 18 years old. I'm a junior in high school. All my homeboys are there with me,
Right.
and I happened to be listening. And I remember thinking to myself, I don't love him like that. I don't love him. If his mother had already found forgiveness, and here I am in a church with a gun and going to retaliate after we pay respect. If the mother had already given him, like, I felt like I would be disrespecting her wishes. And that night, I asked the preacher to meet me outside, and I gave my gun to the preacher. And I prayed that night. I said, "God, send somebody in my life who can help me stay out of trouble." I didn't say male or female. I was thinking more like mentor. And the very next day at the funeral, there were some cute girls, like kind of like you guys, like 3 cute girls sitting on the same row as me. And I'm like, I don't know these girls. Like, who are these girls? They're not where I'm from. I would know them.
Right.
And one of those young lady, her name was Crystal. And I ended up meeting Crystal that day. Today, Crystal is my wife for 23 years. We met
Wow.
February the 3rd, 1993. Yeah. And she really helped
Crystal
me.
need to be in here too.
Yeah.
We really should have had
Crystal
right
and I
there.
shared the stage together earlier today.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow,
love
that is
that.
amazing.
Yeah.
Let me tell you something. I absolutely love the fact, because I'm doing all my homework, and I think in the midst of all of the awesome accomplishments you've had, the one thing that stood out was that you are in fact a man of God, and it shows in everything you
Yes.
do. Just
100%.
the obstacles, and I think it really speaks to you and your success. Had you known in those moments of all of the crazy stuff that was happening in your young life that you would be where you are, it was in fact a setup. And isn't that just funny how God just kind of puts everything together, right?
100%.
What are your thoughts about that? Because I mean, that's crazy just listening to you. I've never heard you just flat out, but I'm like, God, he's a man of God, man. I like that.
My foundation, scripture
I don't know.
foundation.
What do you think about, how does relationship go ahead, I'm sorry.
My foundation and who I am is scriptural. I'm not, I've been around the traditional ministries and things like that, and it's been amazing in my life. But the real growth in my life is really, scriptural based, finding me, not in a traditional sense, but finding me. And I just, there are little bitty things that I learned in life that caused me to understand the value that's within me. And I look back at my life, living in the hood, and my homies who were around me. It's crazy that I look back at it now. There's little bitty things that stand out to me. Like, I was embarrassed for my friends to come inside my house because I didn't want them to see the quality of life I live. And here's what's crazy about that. They had the exact same quality life.
Same quality of life.
Like, there's nothing.
Nothing was different.
But what inside me made me feel that this wasn't okay. This is, this is the process. And, even though I was raised around gangs and violence and drugs, and, I remember sitting on floors and saying, God is great. God is good. Let us thank you for our food. And, 30 minutes before that, we were stirring powder and water together to make milk. and
Yeah.
big old bowls, big old bags of Cheerios with no labels on it. Like I remember all of that. The peanut butter with the big film on the top. You have to stir it together, just for texture, and to be grateful.
Right.
To be grateful in those moments and really be grateful, because understanding that, that was my beginning. And even with all that, I have never in my life, even until this day, entertained being broke.
Wow.
It's almost like if you ask me what happened inside me to make me want to be successful, I don't remember not ever entertaining being successable. Like I've always
I feel
entertained.
you on that.
That's Shauna all day, Johnny. She stands
Really?
by that 1000%. She doesn't speak over herself. She speaks wealth, prosperity.
There you go.
And you know what?
But
And
I get it. I get it in the aspect of, even if you was in the streets, you was getting money to get. You wasn't getting money to stay broke. Like you was getting money to get money, right?
And that's funny you say that, because I never wanted to be the popular drug dealer. I never wanted to be the popular street kid. I wanted to be the guy that was on the path of an exit strategy. I got a brother serving 40 years in prison right now, and the only difference is I didn't get caught. I never wanted to be known as the bad kid. I mean, when I say I was the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air personality type, like making kids laugh, like that really was me. So that kid doesn't want to be known as the bad kid. Like we're disruptive by making people laugh at the wrong time, but I didn't want people to know what I was doing when I was at home. I just never got caught up into wanting to be this big baller type guy. I wanted to ball the right way. And as I'm here before you right now, I mean, I live in South Lake, Texas, and I'm making money in Singapore, like literally this second. I'm making money in Perth, Australia, all throughout North America, South America, Zimbabwe, South Africa, literally, Nigeria, all over the world. And it was the mindset of this, this entrepreneur without an aim and without a direction. And, and now I've helped so many people from my walk of life, from Brooklyn, and kids who never had a chance. And I say kids are adults now that are millionaires based on the principles that I taught them.
Let me ask you a question. Did you create an exit strategy, like an actual exit strategy, saying, I wanted to be that guy that had an exit strategy? Because a lot of times what our young men and women who participate in activities of the street, they don't necessarily have an exit strategy. They're not low key anymore. It's very, very flamboyant. They want to be the opposite of who you wanted to be.
Yeah, they want the notoriety of the streets. I didn't. My exit strategy was when I saw private detectives taking a picture of me. When I saw an unmarked vehicle with 2 private detectives taking a picture from a distance, I stopped that day. And here's why. I know the next step. I didn't want to be a part of it.
Right.
Because
I say that a lot.
Yeah. They didn't want to take me down. They wanted to take my source down.
Right.
Well, now I'm in a hell of a lot of trouble if that happens. So I was smart enough to know, like, listen, to me, this was my stepping stone. I was in the studio. I was a rapper, and it was just my stepping stone. And that was part of my process. So I thought, but as soon as I saw 2 private detectives take pictures of me, and I remembered, I was in my truck and I saw it from a distance, and I thought to myself, this is it. I have to stop. The only thing they need now is evidence. And I never gave it to them.
Oh, I
That's
love
good.
it. Oh my God.
And you know what's crazy is, I don't think I've ever talked about this live before. About 2 years ago, I called a guy, HL. I call him, his name is HL. Nobody really knows who he is.
Right.
I said, I owe you $800 from 1993.
Oh my God.
And I said, send me your information. I'll send you this money. I don't want any debt. I don't want any debt from the streets.
Especially not that debt.
Yeah.
What made you remember? What made you remember that after so
You
many
don't forget
years?
that.
I always thought about it. I always thought to myself, I had a past. Like, these guys are proud of me now. But then that doesn't mean the debt is clear.
Wow.
And literally, this guy said, "You're the real deal." He said, "Man, you are the real deal, Johnny." I don't care what anybody says about you.
Johnny from the block.
You're the real deal. Yeah.
Johnny from the block.
Yeah.
Yes.
Many blocks.
I'm like the girl version of the Fresh Prince. I like to have a good time, but I think that sometimes as people, we don't get to see somebody who has been in our shoes, especially youth who are in the streets, around the streets, from the streets, however you want to say it. They don't get to see somebody who says, oh yeah, I done did what you did, been there, done that, but this is what it looks like for me today. Yeah. And so I think that that's awesome that you are able. Some people don't get to tell the story, right?
Right.
It is.
Oh God, many of them don't. And if they are telling the stories behind, it's in a jail cell comparing street cred.
Right. But how did you?
No, I think it's a testimony, is what it is. It's definitely a testimony.
God saved me for a reason.
How did you develop the millionaire mindset? How did you create that?
When I really started down the path of getting my stuff straight, I joined a ministry and I started taking leadership classes, and I got to the point, even when I was doing that, well, let me back up a little bit. Fresh out of high school, I went to acting school. Okay. And this probably saved my life. I have associate's degree in acting. And it taught me how to talk, how to articulate. And I've always been that kid. Like, I studied Eddie Murphy, like any Eddie Murphy voice I could do, like from back in the days. So people were amazed of how, like, if I wanted to sound Caucasian, I could. If I wanted to sound like from the streets, I could. If I wanted to sound like, a business person, I could. But I was mimicking somebody else's words. So I've always been able to mimic somebody else's words. When the words started to become mine, that's when the lid came off. When I began, I wasn't acting anymore. I was being me from the inside out. So when I went to acting school, I was selling home security systems. I was selling insurance. After that, I always had a gig where I controlled my own time. And that was something that was very important to me. And then, I'm doing these leadership classes and ministry, and I'm learning things in a way of servanthood. Right. I have served in leadership with holes in my shoes. I've served in conferences to the point where I had to be escorted to my car because I could barely walk. So I know the total flip side of servanthood, being broke, but I'm around voices that can change my life. So I would serve because I couldn't afford. And it just started dripping. You are the process. You are the makeup of the information that you allow to absorb inside you. And I went down this path of finding out what is success. And then I got involved in the network marketing industry, home-based businesses. And if you've ever been in those industries like Mary Kay or whatever it is, everything about them. I say Mary Kay because I know those women, but Mary, like, everything about them is personal development. So it is. I was introduced to, like, Jim Rohn and Brian Tracy, Les Brown, and ultimately, Bishop T.D. Jakes, and it just woke up something inside me. Right. So I was driven, like extraordinarily driven, because the number one reason that people aren't successful is because they're afraid to take risk. Well, my entire life was a risk. Like, everything about me was a risk. Every time I walked out the door, I could have been dead. I could have been locked up. I could have been jumped. I could have been jacked. So taking a risk in business, even to this day, is not a big deal for me.
That's funny you say that, because that's something I actually had struggled with initially. Like, in my younger life, the risks were dumb but easy. I'll say that.
Dumb but easy?
Yeah, it just seemed like, and I don't know if it was like a charge, like it was like, let me do this, let me get this. And the risk was easy, but then when it came to business, like who I am and what I can help people with, essentially, is innate for me. It literally is how God made me, right? Mm-hmm. I've used it in every part of my life since I can remember, right? Sure. But the risks sometimes have been like, dang girl, why you can't just take this risk? And this is just like me being all the way G-code, right? Why you can't just take this risk? Because I've taken plenty of other risks that I should have never taken. Looking back, I'm like, who was gonna hire me a lawyer, right? Like who was gonna be there for me? Like I've done some dumb stuff, but I was willing to risk it.
Right.
Really,
you know what? You know the dots that I connected to make it make sense. You know, I didn't understand that I had mastered the art of taking risk. I didn't know. You know, when you're the essence of something, you don't know. It's like Les Brown taught me, you can't see the picture when you're in the frame. So I didn't know that I mastered taking risk. So, but you know, uncalculated risk, and that was the problem. But someone said something to me one time. It was a study that I read. I think I was 25 years old. I'm 46 now. So you're looking at about 21 years ago, somewhere in there.
Honey, you look 25.
I'll take it.
I think that's the first time I heard a guy say, "I'll take it."
It's gonna be a 2-hour show.
He's like,
I'll take it. I'll take it.
You don't look you look good. Truth be told, like, what is 46 really supposed to look like?
Oh, bless you.
He's standing on stage. I'm like, how old is Johnny? Because Johnny looking right good up there.
Thank you, man. Listen,
it's I'm gonna stand by
you can't see the stress on you, Johnny.
It's
you be
handling though.
I laugh a lot. I play a lot, and
but you kind of business too, because if people miss you and they don't see the knowledge you drop, then you are missing it.
Straight business.
You're missing it. I mean, and I could tell that firsthand from watching some of your lives that you have done. I mean, amazing nuggets that you drop. If you miss them, it's your fault. And I tell that about anybody that you're wanting to absorb. And you want to be a sponge. I want to be a sponge in your presence. And the only way I can do that is take everything you're giving me and apply it. Because if you're not applying it, then you're wasting my time. Because I'm here to, like you say, here to service you.
You're all up in my new book. Like what you're talking about right now is all. So here's my new book called Building a Millionaire Mindset. It was supported by Les Brown, endorsed by Bishop T.D. Jakes, Jan Miller, Nancy Lieberman, Emmett Smith. So many people endorsed the book, but I talk about that. I talk about, taking risk. I talk about participating in your own rescue. And there's a story that I tell of a quote that I learned, like when I said I was 25. And the quote said that, the number one regret for elderly people on their deathbed, the absolute number one regret. And you got to understand this. If you're an elderly person on your deathbed, you're not going home. Yeah. Like you're not, you may be at home, but you're not leaving that bed.
Right.
So there's no incentive to not tell the truth. Do you understand what I'm saying? Like they don't have a reason to say anything to impress you. They're going to tell you the truth. The number one regret for elderly people on their deathbed is they wish they would have taken more risk. Now, here's the thing. When I read that, it didn't make sense to me. I would say about 2 years, it finally hit me hard. And it's because not taking a risk becomes a lifestyle.
Yes, it does.
Taking a risk is only a moment.
It is.
So if you become that person that's a habitual, no risk taking person, now you live a life of not taking risk, and you end up being that person on your deathbed saying, I wish I would have taken more risk because it was only a moment, and you turn not taking a risk into a lifestyle. And that's
right. Oh, that's good, Johnny. That's super good. Because I was asking my cousin, I was like, what do you think is the difference? He was like, you was all in. And I was like,
But it's, it's so easy to do it. It's so easy to say it, Johnny, versus to do the action. Because we got a lot of shoulda, coulda, wouldas in our life. As we look over our whole entire life, we got a lot of those. And how do you get out of that mindset? Because you could talk it, to deaf ears sometimes. You like, just do it, just do it, just do it. How do you get out of that mindset? What do you do to break the cycle?
You have to, number one, give yourself permission. When you give yourself permission, it opens a door. And when you open the door, then you have the responsibility to walk through it, but at least you see the door is open.
Yeah.
One of the greatest things that I have ever had to do for myself is forgive myself. To look in the mirror and say, Johnny, I forgive you. The first time I did it, I broke down crying. Like I broke down crying uncontrollable. And what's crazy is I was joking. I heard a motivational speaker say, talk to yourself. Talk positive things to yourself. And I was like, that's hocus pocus. I'm like in my early 20s, I'm class clown. So I'm like, whatever. And I the next morning I was brushing my teeth in the mirror and I just said, no joke. I'm brushing my teeth in the mirror and I have this moment of what the motivational speaker said, speak life into yourself. And I looked in the mirror and I said, I love you, Johnny. I've never said I love you to myself. I broke down. And then I forgave myself, because one of the hardest things for people to do is to just say, listen, my past doesn't determine my future. Where I come from doesn't have to dictate where I'm going. Yes, I'm an ex-drug dealer. Yes, I have a felony arrest. Yes, I should be in prison with my brother, but by God's grace and mercy, I'm still here. So I got to forgive myself. People ask me all the time, Johnny, how did you make, your first million? It's not even important. Right. What's important is to understand the mindset that I stepped into to get me there. Making $1 million is nowhere near one of the hardest things I've ever done in 1 year. Like it is nowhere near one of the hardest things I've ever done. The hardest thing I've ever done is to believe that it was possible.
Right.
Yes.
To believe. Now, I wish I would have believed sooner.
That's good to think that.
Right.
That's the mindset. It's to believe you can do it.
As
People
a man
don't think,
thinking,
how can I make 6 digits? I don't think I can do it.
So easy.
I don't think I can do it. But why do you think that? You already stopped yourself right there.
Well, you subscribe to the thinking of your surrounding, and we're born to win and programmed to fail. I mean, think about it. The day you are born.
Oh, that's so good. That's a whole Facebook post.
Well, think about this. Think about it. The day you're conceived. Now think about this. There were hundreds of millions of other you.
Right.
Sperm cell. But you made it. So not only did you make it, when you made it, every competitor behind you died.
Wow,
so it wasn't just a victory, it was annihilation. So if my first race in life, every one of my competitors died when I won, I was born to win. So I program myself to remember that moment. So when I start entertaining why I shouldn't be or why I couldn't be, I just remind myself, Johnny, you've already beat the greatest odds of your life. Before you knew your name, before you knew if you were male or female, you had the greatest victory of your life and you didn't even know your name. So how much greater should I be now that I know my name?
Johnny, I gotta go.
It's weird. I'm curious. I mean, he's really good. Just did it.
This is how Johnny talks to Johnny.
Johnny's
I'm in.
Look, let me tell you.
Yeah, that's inspiration.
Mindset.
It makes a difference. And I think that everything in life is a mindset change. It's not just with becoming a millionaire. It's like when I talk to people about how they look at networking, that's a mindset shift. When you want to overcome the poverty mindset, it's a mindset. Like when I started realizing, dang, but you know what? Romans says that you have to renew your mind.
That's right.
Right.
And I will preach tonight, I promise.
You know what was a big breakthrough to me? I know Leslie wants to say something. One second, Leslie.
No, go ahead, sir.
No, I heard Bishop Jake say something one time, and Bishop Jake is a spiritual mentor to me and a leader, high-level leader type training for me. Not even as a minister or a pastor, but his leadership stuff is that. Right. That is something that I'm so in need of and hungry for the last 5 years. He talked about, when I was a child, I spoke like a child. I mean, and then it says, but now that I'm adult, I put away childish things. I never caught that. I never caught that he put it away. So if this is my book and I put it on the shelf, that doesn't mean I don't know where it is. Like I'm still that Johnny. Like, don't get it twisted. If you slap me, I'm probably gonna slap you back. Like I'm not there yet.
Don't slap him back, Johnny.
I know where my childish ways are. I put it on the shelf, but don't let me go get it.
Right.
See, I think that a lot of times we read things in the way of perfection. It's not perfection. No, you just put it away. Hopefully you'll never have to pull it back off. But I know where it is.
That's true.
Right.
That's true.
Johnny, you all right with me. Johnny.
Yeah.
Hey, but see, that's the thing about it, Johnny, is that you let people know this is who I am. Don't
Right.
forget who I used to be. Okay.
Listen,
Because
please don't forget. Please don't forget.
Please don't forget, because it's like, look, I had to come from somewhere to get to where I am. So that's why you don't want to get that twisted.
Yeah, but don't
Get that.
Why would you want to poke the bear? Like, you
No,
know,
please don't. You don't even know me like that, B.
Don't you come for me. Johnny said, don't come for me.
No, please.
Do you imagine the strength that it takes? Because Bishop T.D. Jakes, love him. And Leadership Conference, he mentioned one time about the strength that it takes for you to come away from the pack, to separate yourself, right? Yeah. And I'm listening to you, and I'm kind of regurgitating what he said. And he spoke about how a person can walk into a fight, into any situation, and people who are like-minded, even in spirits, because he feels like somehow we gravitate toward the person that's just like us, but it takes more strength to go and gravitate towards something that's different, that's greater than you. And so I'm listening to you, and I'm just like, man, just the strength to be able to come away from that and build that mindset, because I teach leadership to corporations here in Texas, and it really takes a lot for you to be able to acclimate, but still know how to set yourself apart so that they see you and view you as the leader that you are. Sometimes we're so quick to gravitate toward the mediocre and not toward greatness. And I wonder why people like that. Is it that they're just comfortable? Why wouldn't you want to hang out with a millionaire? I want to hang out with you because I need to know what you know. You spoke about that.
Yeah.
You spoke about the sheep. You spoke about the
and I talk about it in the book. And again, this is Building a Millionaire Mindset. It came out, it hit number one bestseller, even in pre-releases in 2 categories.
Yes,
and there is a part in the book where I talk about the sheep, the wolves, the goats, sheep and wolves. And if you don't know who they are, if you don't know who the enemy is, how can you, not even just stop them? How do you know how to entertain them?
Yes.
I know how to build with people that I don't even agree with or like.
Come on now,
in certain categories. It doesn't mean you're in my inner circle. It just means there's something about you that I can see as an asset. But it doesn't mean I like you.
That is right. That is right. All day. You hit it on the head.
Well, it took me a long time to understand that. It took me a long time to understand, how's this person doing business with this person? They have nothing in common. Well, there's something about an asset that they bring to the table that complements this asset. It's so crazy to me. My homeboys and homegirls, like, I'm a dominologist. I play spades, and some of the times where I see some of the smartest people that I know is at that table.
Yep.
But they can't transfer it. They can't transfer that energy. They can't transfer that passion to anywhere. You show me somebody who has a perfect attendance award at work, I'll show you somebody who could be a millionaire. You show me a mother that gets her kids to school on time every morning and she's never late and she's on time for work or whatever it is, I'll show you somebody who already has a millionaire mindset. They don't know how to transfer it. It's the exact same principles. If you can be an ace in this area, I can show you how to use those exact same principles, but just bring it to the business world. And that comes with the mindset. You got to have the mindset. As a man thinketh in their heart, so are they.
So let me ask you a question, John. Now, do you work one-on-ones? Do you do one-on-ones outside of, I know you do life coaching.
Yeah. I do one-on-one, but to be honest with you, the level
probably gonna run you a good old book.
Yeah, because people get the book, Johnny. They're like, look, I want Johnny.
Yeah, and that's what I mean. Do you want to pay $5,000 an hour? Or you want to read the book? Like I
want to read the book.
You know what I mean? And then you figure out how you can use me or how you can benefit from me. But here's what I found out. Most people who say they want to be coached by me, all I got to do is give them one assignment. Give them one assignment, and I've already ran off 90% of the people who said they wanted help. Just one assignment.
Wow. Yeah, that's deep.
It's crazy.
Buy the book, y'all.
people don't want to participate in their own, their own rescue.
That store.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, I mean,
That's
all of us
amazing
want to be
you say
rescued
that.
from something. Everybody. I want to be rescued from, not having 6-pack abs. I want to be rescued, from, 8 figures to 10 figures. Like, I want to be rescued. We
Right.
all want to be rescued.
I
But will
agree
you
with that.
participate in your rescue?
I don't care how much
Wow.
money you got, John. I'm gonna be real with you. I don't care how much money you make. It's the fact that you have to be committed.
Yeah.
And if you're not ready to make the
Yeah.
commitment and invest in yourself, I could be a multimillionaire, walk around here and say, "Oh, I paid $5,000 an hour, John. It don't amaze me one bit. It's a chip off the old block." But you look at me like, okay, you got the money, but
Yeah.
are you ready to do the work?
I had people, I spoke
Yeah.
at, I think it was MegaFest or Bishop Jake's Leadership Conference. I spoke at both of them, but I had a guy from Africa chasing me down with a blank checkbook and said, whatever it takes, whatever it takes. And I said, sir, meet me at the table. And he was ready to write me a check for $5,000. And I said, listen, why don't you take this course that I have that's $500? If you make it through this course, then we could talk about one-on-one. But at least
That's
take
so
the course
real.
first.
Right.
That's
I
good,
appreciate
Johnny.
that.
I don't want to
That's
take
real.
people's
Like,
money
that's good,
that I
Johnny.
know.
But it's some people out here, they shysty.
Yeah.
And because they
Yeah.
so
I
let's
just-
let's just clear this up really fast. As you can see,
Mhm.
I'm a little bit more hood touched than the rest of us.
Got a little edge.
You get me, people they know they're gonna get
What's in that red cup?
every single time. Hey, red cup. It's water in this red cup.
That Friday night red cup.
Johnny, if I could, I would, but I can't.
No, see,
So
she
much.
said she a little bit more hood. See, now the good thing is that I'm just as hood. I know when to pull hood out.
Yeah.
So it's there.
You heard
You
it,
just
say,
got to
Johnny.
know when to pull it out.
But my point is, because like I'm just me all the time, and
Mhm.
I'm just so you'll see that as we
Yeah.
flow through the night.
Well, one
I'm
thing
just
about me is, I have gotten to a point in my life. I got to a point in my life where I'm okay if I'm not the one talking. Like I'm 50-50. 50% of the time I'm on and I'm the person that everybody's listening to. The other 50%, I'm the guy not saying anything. And that part a lot of people have a problem with. Like, why isn't Johnny talking? What's wrong with him? I'm learning.
I'm opposite.
And I like learning more than I like teaching.
That's good.
Right.
And I haven't always been that way. It's literally like a crossroads for me where I thought something was wrong with me. Like, why am I okay with not being around people? Like, I used to be the life of the party. How did I cross over to being the guy who can stay home for 7 days? Like, how did I become? And it worried me. But it's just that crossover maturity and being hungry, wanting so much more. If I'm always talking, that scares me. If I'm the smartest person in the room, that terrifies the hell out of me. I don't want to be the smartest person in the room all the time. I need to learn from somebody.
I'm here to learn. I'm here to grab me some nuggets.
Do you know why the Dead Sea is called the Dead Sea?
Why?
To everyone, but if I'm not plugged into a source, if I don't have an outlet, then I'm eventually going to die. I'm going to be dead Johnny, and I don't want to be that. I want to be Johnny. Ain't gonna know
on yourself.
And I wrote this book as a roadmap for my children. So if God forbid, if something happened to me today, the roadmap is written. They know how to, the subtitle of the book is How to Use the Pillars of Entrepreneurialism to Gain, Maintain, and Sustain Long-Lasting Wealth. There are so many people that I've helped make over 7 figures that lost it because I didn't teach them how to keep it.
Wow.
You understand?
Yeah.
So I got to teach my children how to keep it. It's generational wealth.
Right.
And so if anything ever happened to me, they got the roadmap.
I love
Johnny,
that.
tell everybody how can they get a copy of that book? Because I'm ordering it. So
This book is available at any major bookstore in the world. Amazon, to be honest with you, Amazon is killing the game. This book is $25 on every website out there. Amazon's selling it for $17. And it's
All right,
hardback. So $17 on Amazon, and they're shipping for free. So I can't even compete with them.
They shipping for free.
Oh, they shipping for free.
Yes, my book is being shipped to my website and pay $25 plus shipping. But why would I do that? The information is way more important.
Okay.
All right. My new cousin.
Tonight, y'all gotta get a copy of this book. I'm gonna tell you, it is out there on Amazon for $17. Yes,
it is.
We about to go ahead and do
when
this.
I go search for it, it's just 17.
Y'all, if you want to look, that she already got it pulled up.
$17.04.
If you do the Kindle, I think Kindle is $14
like $14.75
because it gets $3 back, and that just started like 2 days ago. But you know, you want to get the hard version because there's exercises in it. This is the type of book you will never loan this book to anybody. The biggest complaint that I got about this book is people would loan it, and because people just don't give this one back.
Right.
This one you're not going to loan. There's too much personal information that you're going to have to put in this book that you're not going to loan it to anybody.
That's
I don't want to loan it. No ways. My mama said
you don't want to loan. I'm not go get your own. That's what
unlimited amount. And you know what I'm doing right now in this part of my life is I'm helping people like you become published authors. I've helped at least 200 people become published authors in the last 7 years. And we do collaboration books together. I'll give you an example. Here's a book that I did with myself, Les Brown, and a guy named Nick wants to become a published author. So what we do is we help this person elevate their vision, elevate their name around the world by literally you co-authored a book with Les Brown and Johnny Wimbrey. So now your name globally, when people search for you, you are a published author. So I help publish people who are professional speakers or who want to become professional speakers, life coaches, politicians, athletes. I've helped people like even teachers who want to up their game in terms of being able to get speaking engagements. I help them become published authors. And every one of my authors who do this, it should add an additional 6 figures a year in your life in the first 36 months. And then after, because that's what happened for me. That's what I did. I did a book, a collaboration book with Jim Rohn and Brian Tracy, and it elevated my life. So now I'm training speakers. I'm helping them become published authors, and then they become a part of my network and my business partners. So anybody who's interested in becoming a published author, I can't guarantee you'll make the book, but I can guarantee you an interview. Go to CoStarAuthor.com, CoStarAuthor.com, one word, CoStarAuthor.com. Fill out the 4 questions, and we'll set up your interview in the next 72 hours.
That's phenomenal. So if you all are looking to connect with Johnny, you will definitely take advantage of that. If you're a person that's looking to co-author with someone and get yourself elevated and take yourself to that next level, you definitely want to partner with someone that's going to elevate you. And
now let me tell you what just happened. Somebody heard you said that and they counted themselves out. And here's what I'm telling you guys. You got to count yourself in. Count yourself in. Never count other people in more than you count yourself in. Well, Johnny, what if it doesn't work? What if it does? Well, what if it does? Like
but Johnny, some people feel like they're not qualified. You know how it is when you ain't got them the letters behind your name and people don't really know who you are. They downplay themselves because I don't feel like I'm worthy. I'm not worthy of it.
Yeah, I just look. It's all in there. I just
and every single person.
Can y'all see it?
What is it?
It says,
there you go.
It said delivered on Monday.
Bam. There you go.
You get yours on Monday. Mine don't come till Tuesday.
No,
where are you located, Shanna?
Where in Charlotte?
South Carolina. Amara, where are you?
I'm in Charlotte, North Carolina.
And Leslie, you're in Texas?
I'm mine on Monday.
Sir, I'm right down the road. I'm in Austin.
Oh, you're in the fun town. Austin is turning fun, man. I'm scared to go to Austin. I may not come back.
Come on down South by Southwest and get some conference in it. I could come.
I'm down.
Help out.
I'm down.
South by Southwest.
How often do you now? How can people get in contact with you in regards to finding out where you are, when you're speaking, things like that? Where can people find out where you are?
At Wimbrey, my last name, at Wimbrey on every social media platform, at Wimbrey.
Okay.
I always post. I'm always, if it's a public event, it's open to the masses. I'm always posting where I'm going to be. You know, with COVID and things like that, obviously things have slowed down quite a bit. So I'm doing a lot of Zoom trainings and Zoom events, and paid speaking engagements on Zoom, believe it or not.
Okay.
So,
Well, look, there she go. What is the title?
So I just want them to know. So let me tell you how Markia Whitehead, Markia Whitehead, it came into the chat, into the group watching the live, and tagged 1,000,010 folks, right? It's not 1,000,010, but I exaggerate the numbers a lot. Needless to say, they are in here getting this book.
Oh, thank you.
They're like, I'm so glad I joined. I get you on Sunday.
And that's good, because see, that's y'all, that's the whole point of bringing people to the platform who are going to pour into your life.
Absolutely.
Right. You know what I'm saying? Because I preach that so much, is that you're pouring into others, but who's pouring into you? So that means that I'm taking what Johnny has. He's giving me these good nuggets, and then he's telling me to go buy the book. They go to Blueprint. Get the book, read the book, do the activities, do everything in the book to benefit you personally as well as your business.
This book is being bought all over the world. The comments and the I could say this is the best thing I've ever produced. And I'm not belittling anything that I've done before, but this is the new Think and Grow Rich, with a new voice, a new tone, in your face, and it doesn't matter what your background is. You know, my brother in prison has about 5 of these circulating around the prison right now. I got CEOs and presidents that make it's a mandatory read for their employees to level up.
Whoa.
So, and when you get it, you'll understand why. Even in the introduction, I dare you to skip the introduction and watch what happens.
Right. But I mean,
it's like somebody go skip the introduction now.
Well, I don't let you. Like when you get into chapter 1, right around like the 3rd page in chapter 1, I'm confronting you about the introduction. So you have to stop and go back and read it. I'm holding you accountable. I hold you accountable in a way that I wish somebody would have held me accountable. I'm in your face in a way I wish somebody was in my face. You cannot read this book and have an excuse after it.
Right. And that's it. And it's that
you
hard.
have to own it. You have to own it.
That's good, Johnny, because we have to be held accountable to some extent.
Absolutely.
I mean, we always say, I hear people now saying, oh, I need an accountability partner. I need somebody to hold me accountable for the things that I'm not doing.
I had a whole chapter in here about accountability. And I tell a story. Let me tell you a quick story, because when people hear accountability, it sounds like homework, right?
Yeah.
It's not. When I was writing this book, From the Hood to Doing Good, I was 26. And I was in these leadership classes that I was telling you about that I would go to like 3 times a week. And there was a friend of mine named Chris Lloyd. Chris Lloyd worked for FedEx. And Chris Lloyd was one of those genuine guys. You ever hear somebody who just says, hey, man, how you doing? And he literally really means it. Yeah, he means like, how you doing, man? Like, how's it going? And he was just that guy. He said, hey, Johnny, how you doing? How you doing? Da, da. And I'm like, what are you working on, Johnny? I'm glad you asked. I'm actually writing a book. And then he just stops and he gets all into it. And you can tell he has a genuine interest. When people show you they have a genuine interest, that's your accountability partner.